So let's talk about marriage. Every marriage faces very challenging times. Every single marriage, it's unavoidable. It's because we're humans. So the core of what went wrong looks something like this. When you started out, you thought you knew what you were doing. That's the case for all of us. When we get married, we think that we're ready for this step and we think we know what it is. The reality is, we have no idea what we are doing. The day we get married, we are like two 5-year-olds that signed up for T-ball. We don't even know which way to run the bases. We certainly can't stop a ground ball. But when you play T-ball, these two people, if you miss a ball or run the wrong direction, we laugh at you. But when something goes wrong in a marriage, the response is very different. Our response causes everything to change. We wanted something great to happen here. But as soon as something goes wrong, one person, typically men, will put a bag over their head. Because a man will feel like he's not good enough, there's something wrong with him, I can't believe I thought this way, can't believe I did this, I'm an evil person. Because men are pretty good at messing up, let's be honest about it. But it doesn't mean that we are mess-ups as a person. It just means that in any game of life, even when you're really a good player, let's say, occasionally you fumble the ball. There's no endeavor in our life that doesn't involve some type of failure. In marriage, a man tends to do this. He puts a bag over his head because he messes up in some way. And so his wife gets hurt by whatever happens, so she puts up a wall because she's got to protect herself. This is very understandable. It makes sense because when someone does something that causes you harm, you can't just sit there and take it. You can't just, it's not okay when someone does something that hurts you. So the relationship has changed. The relationship started out, we wanted this. Now we have this thing happening. I want to describe what then happens. The relationship, because of what it becomes, it multiplies trouble. Instead of up here on the right, instead of multiplying our connection together and developing something powerful here, our relationship just produces lots of little problems or just one big problem. We then think, well, this is a disaster. All of this down here is so overwhelming. It's just in our face every second. And it makes us then grow apart. So our relationship gets cold. Not only is there nothing powerful happening here, but there's a greater distance that makes us feel like we are just really messed up and we have no power or momentum to face this stuff. When your marriage gets like this, it then causes implications into your personal life. It messes up your parenting. It messes with you as a person even in the workplace. It hinders your sense of security as a person. So your marriage is a mess, and it messes with your life. So it actually makes a lot of sense that our marriage becomes a mess. It makes sense because we're human. But here's the point I want to make. It's our response to what went wrong that causes this giant, overwhelming mess. The reality is, I don't care who you are, when you get married, problems are going to happen. And it's going to challenge both people and how they think. What are we going to do about this? It's going to challenge how we think. The reality is, if two people honestly face this together, what happens is it helps you to grow closer together. Let me draw you this picture. When two people get married, here, first of all, is the wrong thinking. People think, here's this straight line. Our marriage is perfect. It's brand new. Nothing's wrong with it. Then when a problem happens, we start to, in our mind, separate in our thinking. There's something wrong with us. This shouldn't be happening. And every time a problem happens, we grow apart because of it. The problem is not the existence of problems. The problem is how we think about those problems. And so every problem causes us to further grow apart and distance ourselves. Here's the truth about marriage. When you get married, you're like the 5-year-olds that signed up for T-ball. There's actually a very big difference between the two of you. That distance is caused by a myriad of things. It's caused by the fact that both people are selfish because we're humans. We both have issues from our past. We both have different opinions. And we also don't even know how to do marriage. So there's this big difference between us. We want to have powerful connection. There's good news. Whenever we face a problem, and problems will come, the only way to face that problem is to learn how to love each other. With every problem, I change and I grow and learn how to love my wife. Every problem that comes, she changes, she grows, learns how to love me. Every problem is an opportunity, and it helps us to develop not a perfect relationship, but a connected relationship that is powerful, where there's intimacy. In this way of thinking, every problem is an opportunity. In this type of thinking, every problem is a threat. Here's the whole point. In this model that I drew, the whole issue is not that a problem occurred. The problem was that he put a bag over his head and she put up a wall in front of her. We don't have to fix this. We don't have to fix this. We don't have to fix this. We need to change how we are thinking so that the bag comes off the head and the wall comes down. And when that changes, we're then able to have what we were made for, which is connection together. And with this connection, our lives grow back toward each other again. It gives us lots of momentum. This wall comes down. The bag is gone. We think different. We function different. And because we think different and function different, guess what begins to happen? Not automatically, but what begins to happen is these problems become smaller. They begin to dissipate. And it changes our entire life. Why? When you change how you think, it changes everything. So this is really good news. It's great news. We as human beings will never be perfect, but we don't have to undo all the stuff that's happened in life. What really happened was not this. What really happened was he put a bag over his head and she put up a wall. I don't care how many of these issues have accumulated in your life. The answer is not to fix all of this. The answer is to remove the bag off of our head and to remove the wall we put in front of us. It changes our entire life. It changes our marriage. It changes how we interact with our kids. It changes how we interact with our whole life. If you're in a bad spot with your marriage, it's totally normal. But you don't have to stay in it. You don't have to be, you don't have to sit there and let all these X's just to keep accumulating. You probably just need maybe someone to come alongside of you and guide you into, how do I remove this bag over my head? How do I get rid of this wall in front of me? And life can change much quicker than you think. I hope this helps you. If you need some more help with this, you can go to our website, markdelaney.com. Essentially, we have a program to help people get back to this life, not by talking about all of this, but by simply removing the bag from our head and removing the wall we put in front of us and getting back to the life we were made for.